Where's my theme music, man? Gotta have theme music. Working on it. I'm in my car today. How do I turn off my telephone? Alright, let's see here. Alright, well, hey, David Criswell. I am glad you are here, man. I read your commentary. I think it's spot on. I definitely... Are you hearing me okay? Can I get a thumbs up out there if you can hear me? I'm in my mobile sound booth right now here in the extra fancy Prius. I love my Prius. I really do. The funniest thing about my Prius is that on the back is a "Don't Tread on Me" plate, which is kind of funny when you think about all the government subsidies that went into making a Prius and why people bought them in the first place. And then I've got a yellow license plate on the back. But hey, I don't like paying taxes, and so I drive a Prius so I get better gas mileage. Something. Oh, hey, Miss Bowling, how are you? I can barely read on the phone. You can barely read who that is coming in, joining us. Laura, I can't wait to sit down and interview you. I look forward to that, and I'm hoping we do that in the next couple weeks. I think that'll be great. But so last night we had an election, and I'm pulling up the results so I don't miss anybody here. But I think that some of the biggest surprises last night had to be like Mike Sparks. You know, he came on the show and, hey Laura, I'm serious. I can't wait to interview you. And there you go. Me too. You are too. Great. But Sparks had such a, I don't know. I think that he thought he had it in the bag, to be honest. But the people I had talked to did not think he had it in the bag and thought he was behind most of the race. And so, and Mike's a good friend of mine, and I'm friends with Tim Morrell too. But Mike has been more of a mentor to me since I've gotten involved in politics and things of that nature. And so I try not to show allegiance. I reached out to Tim and tried to get him on the show a few times. But he never could make the schedule work. And I mean, come on. I don't know how much exposure he would have gotten on here. But, you know, the thing is, he only lost by 95 votes. So, you know, maybe he could have made a difference. I'm not sure. My man, Mr. Ash, Judge Ash. Hey, thanks for saying hi. Thanks for tuning in. So let's see. So I think that's the biggest surprise is that Sparks won that race. I really do. I think that the momentum was against him because of the thing. You know, the D&J just hammered him with that same story over and over again. And that story was like, and so that story was from some time ago. And hey Taylor, how are you doing, man? The story on Sparks was from some time ago, but the D&J just hammered him, and I think that that definitely weighed on him. And then, you know, the question that was raised by Tim Morrell and his supporters was, what has Mike Sparks done for Smyrna? And it's a great question. And it's really a great question we should ask about all of our elected representatives that we do send off to Nashville and send to DC. You know, what are they doing for us? And we don't ask that question enough. Most of the time they just come back and they wave at stuff. Like, you know, has anybody seen Desjardins in Murfreesboro? Does he even know Murfreesboro exists? I was impressed that Jack Maddox got over 30% of the vote. That's another, you know, it's a great thing that he run. We need competition, right? So people will take their offices seriously. I've seen so many times when people walk into an office, they take it for granted. And so all these guys that ran, and if you lost, man, I know it hurts. I know because I've lost, and it hurts really, really bad. But it's an important thing. And so if you know someone who ran and they lost, please reach out to them, tell them thank you, you know, and because without people willing to risk it, without people willing to put it on the line, it's, you know, we lose our democracy, and it becomes what, you know, almost, you know, the good old boy system reigns then. And so, and I don't like that. I want competition. I want the best to rise up, and you can learn a lot about a person by how they run their candidacy. I think that's what Ronnie Martin did well in the city election, is that so he ran a great campaign. And if you know Ronnie Martin, you know that you knew he was going to run a great campaign because the guy is a workhorse. And so, and I bet he is a workhorse as a city councilman as well. It'll be interesting to see how he does as a city councilman, because his whole election was not on issues. It just wasn't, which was smart. I wouldn't have run on issues either. I mean, I've told people, if I'm running ever again, all you're going to get from me is pictures of my beautiful children and pictures of puppy dogs, and I'll talk about how great things are, and that's going to be my race. Because you guys will be able to come on online and look up all the bad things I've said, and you can hold it against me. And so, but you know, I told Chelsea last night, I was like, I'm so glad that I wasn't running, didn't have to, you know, go through the work of winning and things like that. And you know, all night long you go around these parties, and people know that I pay attention to politics. People know that I'm interested, and you know, mostly I just want to hold our elected officials' feet to the fire, make sure that they're working on the job and making tough decisions, not easy ones. And I want them to feel the pain when they decide to raise taxes. I want them to know that they are affecting people, and there's so many families that are on the edge. Right? They're making it, they're getting paid low wages, which is a Democrat argument and stuff like that, the solution to that. But there's something it's something that we should all be talking about, our low wages. There are people that are coming out of college with crushing amounts of debt. And so, because of that, taxes matter, because if you raise taxes on a home, all of a sudden maybe that pushes somebody over and they can't buy something that they would have bought before in the economy. And eventually, if you raise them high enough, then people have to sell. And anyway, there's Dr. Myrtle. He's from a northern European country. Anyway, he's a left-leaning economist, and there's not a lot of left-leaning economists out there. But Myrtle, he says there's centrifugal forces to the economy, and so good begets good. And so if you can get the economy of a place running in the right direction, it'll cause more good things. But the opposite is also true. And so if you raise taxes and you create a bad environment for business, it then begets more bad. And so you go the other direction. And all you got to do is drive up into the Midwest and look at what they have up there. You'll see wide, expansive roads. You'll see lots and lots of parks. But you know what you don't see? People. You don't see as many people as used to be there. They have all shrunk. And that is hard on the government. And it causes governments to go bankrupt. And that then is hard on people. And so that's why these things matter. They matter to me. And I'm sure if you're tuning in, they matter to you. So let's walk through some of the other elections. So Desjardins easily won without even campaigning. I got one thing from him, and it was him sitting next to Donald Trump, him smiling. Looks like he's lost a little weight. But anyway, he's a good politician now. And so he knows not to get into the fray if he doesn't have to, so he didn't. And he owns these outside counties. I don't know why, but when they turn, and they will, those people out there, if their economy doesn't continue to improve, although I believe it is improving right now, but if it doesn't continue to, they will eventually turn against him, and they will turn against the Republican Party because he is representing hope to them. And so, I don't think he's really brought that much back to our rural counties. So let's start at governor. We have Bill Lee. I think that Bill Lee stayed out of the weeds, right? Didn't talk issues. They tried to bring issues up on him. He had two huge war campaigns with these huge war chests just pounding on the guy, and he was resilient. He was able to fight through that. Didn't respond back to that stuff. Just kept pushing forward. I talked with a candidate last night who asked me if I had met Bill Lee, and I had not met Bill Lee. He said if you had met him, you would have voted for him because he's just that kind of guy. And so, if issues were raised, many had nothing to do with Tennessee. That's a good point, Judge. Because all of our news outlets now come from national news outlets. Even the DNJ, right, is owned by Gannett, and so they push out a lot of national news, and so you don't really get a chance to dig into local issues a lot. And so, so that's a very, very good point. Let's see. So we were talking about so Bill Lee. I was surprised that Harwell didn't do better, but her campaign wasn't funded as well as the other top vote getters. And bottom line, thank God Boyd didn't win. I don't know. We'll see. We will see, because here's the issue about running for governor. And I know something about running for governor, which I'll talk about at the end of the show. But the issue about running for governor is that when you get elected governor, you have an entire branch of government that you're in charge of. And so that's a lot of positions to fill. And because of that, when you fill those positions in, that's really where how you govern is going to add up. And so I don't know if Bill Lee's network is big enough, strong enough to fill those positions to accomplish the missions that he has set for himself that he hasn't really shared with us. But anyway, that's the question. And so normally what you end up with is you get a new guy at the top, but all the stuff underneath him, for the most part, is filled in with people that would have been working on other campaigns and working in other places. And so sometimes you don't get the kind of change or the kind of response that you would want out of your elected person. So on the Democrat side, I was so disappointed that Fitzhugh did not win, and I was so disappointed that he lost in such large magnitude. I met Carl Dean. He's like no energy Carl Dean, but I got a lot of money Carl Dean, and that would be a good nickname for him. But and then Fitzhugh, what I liked about Fitzhugh is I felt like he had his finger on the pulse of what's going on in our rural counties in Tennessee. And if you guys haven't visited rural counties, then you probably don't know. But these hospitals that close, it's devastating to a county. So we've got hospitals closing in those areas. You got businesses leaving and people leaving. You know where they're coming to? They're coming to Nashville. They're coming to Murfreesboro. They're coming to Wilson County, and which is great for my business as a realtor. I love that people are moving here, but it's at a cost, and it's at a cost to these counties. And so what happens is the people that get left behind get further and further behind, and so you just get real bad. And that's where your opioid addictions cause more problems. There's just a lot of issues in our rural counties, and it doesn't seem to be any elected officials that care about that very much, and that's really, really sad. I've got like some issues that I think that it's important for the state to focus on. I would like to see 5G internet all across the state. I know as a libertarian, there's a lot of people that are like, man, you're pushing for bigger state, and I am. I see the internet as the new highway system, and we got a lot of things to change to give people more liberty before we get to changing all of our electricity and roads and internet to privating. Yeah, here's some wows. There we go. There we go. I know, commie. So, but I just think that it's really important. I think if you got that out into these rural areas, it would be easier for companies to relocate into them. And if a company, we talk about affordable housing and how there's none in Rutherford County, and there really isn't. When you look at that, just drive a little bit outside of the area, and all of a sudden the housing prices fall tremendously. And that's because if you live there, you got to drive an hour to work, and so you got to accommodate that. But if you really wanted to improve your employees' living standards, you could move your company, pack up your company, move it out into a rural area. If you had great internet and great highways, then you could move out there. They would be able to enjoy a higher level of life, right? Because they're moving out there, and they'd be able to buy bigger houses and things of that nature, and lower cost of living. And then you could pay them probably less, and they live a better life. And so that's a win. But until we get something like that going in these rural counties, there's no reason for companies to do that. What they are incentivized to do is to move to these larger counties where you do have all these great public services. So they continue to move here, people continue to move here, and so you get the divide. And this is what when Womp ran for governor, I guess 8 years ago, he said there's a big divide between the rural counties and the more urban counties, and there's just this divide between them, and now it's in political issues, it's in the economy, it's in so many things, and it's just spreading, and it's causing a lot of our problems. We call that flyover country, and Tennessee counts as flyover country. But when you look at what's going on in Davidson County or Shelby County, and how you wonder how could it be so different, that I think the economy has a lot to do with that. All right, let's move on to some Rutherford County elections. We'll start with county mayor. No surprise there. Bill Ketron won easily won that, and wasn't really had any challenge. I think what's interesting about that race is that Heather Brown did get nearly 15,000 votes, and so she did really, really well. And what that tells me, I think that's why I don't think Bill Ketron could have won a re-election for his Senate seat. And I know that may be on the outside, of thoughts, but I don't think so. And so because I think voting for that gas tax hurt him with the far right, with really conservative people. And so let's see here. Yeah, but look how many. Yeah, exactly, Steve. I was going there. And so she got a lot of votes. And so I don't think she got her votes because of who she was or the issue she was representing. I think those votes were, I'm not happy with Bill Ketchum votes. And so, and what that says to me is that in 4 years, the Democrats probably ought to field somebody against him. You know, people think the Democrat Party is dead, but man, it is a sleeping giant here in Tennessee. And I think that it's starting to wake up. And you saw that in the city election. Like, who is she, right? I know, who is she? But she got 14,000 votes. I mean, that's a lot of votes to his 24,000. So, but you saw the Democrat Party, they fielded congressional candidates. It's been a while since they had a race that was heated. There's multiple Murfreesboro people in that race, so you had a lot of Democrats coming out to vote, and I think every one of them one-shotted for Madeline Scales Harris in the city election. I haven't had a chance to look at the vote turnout and then look at her votes and just compare the numbers and see if there's any correlation between those two, but that would be my guess off the top, is that, you know, look, especially with the idea that cuts are coming or tax raises are coming. You know, Madeline Scales came to the Realtor Association and told a room full of people, I'm going to raise your taxes. And she won. And she got more votes than anybody else. And so that is kind of worrisome to a guy who doesn't like higher taxes, because it sounds like they are coming, and they're coming in a hurry. Because I'm guessing that she's going to be our vice mayor. I know that there are some elected officials who said that they won't vote for her. We shall see. And so let's see. Next, Mike Fitzhugh, sheriff, won that easily, man. I mean, really, even if you added up all the votes for the other parties, that they just had one against him, you know, I think he ran a great campaign. He has some dings on his record with the Candy Crush and stuff like that, but you know, evidently, Derek and Bill West couldn't make hay out of those. And so, anyway, that's there's that. In the commissioner races, you know, there were some close ones. The more interesting ones, you know, I was pulling for Ed Phillips, running as a Republican. He did not carry the day against Pettis Reed, and so who was running as an independent. Congratulations to all the other people that won. The other big surprise in the county commission race, in my opinion, was Shanto beating Patsy Briley. If you guys remember 4 years ago, I think it was like 12 votes that separated them. This time, way more than 12 votes. It was around 300, 400 votes. Let's see, road board, I don't, you know, no real surprise there. Oh, the other surprise I saw was in school board, zone 1, Tammy Sharp beat Dow Smith. And from what I've heard, Dow Smith was a well-funded candidate and well-liked candidate in the community. For Tammy to win that just shows that she ran a really good campaign, in my opinion. City council, of course, I just talked about Madeline Scales Harris, almost got 10,000 votes. Huge win for her. Rick LaLance coming in second. No surprise that he was in the top 3. Ronnie Martin, another guy that I thought was definitely going to get into the top 3. He squeezed in there. Then next, and so like you got Ronnie at 7,200 for third place, and then Nancy Ranier. Nancy Ranier spent like $100 on her election. I don't think she knocked on any doors. She didn't do anything. She just said, hey, I'm in the race, and my name is Nancy Ranier. And she did come to the Libertarian Party event, came out, listened to all of our concerns, and which I really respect her for doing that, because she didn't have to. And she got 5,700 votes. 57. And so, and yes, you're right, Steve. Pettis is tough to beat. I thought Pettis would run for county mayor and be tough to beat. So, you know, the fact that Ed gave him a good challenge, awesome for Ed. I hope Ed doesn't, hope he doesn't give up, you know, because sometimes when you lose, you're like, maybe this isn't for me. But he's so smart, and just he's got a real passion for the people, and he cares about that district. So I doubt that he goes away, and I hope he's takes a route like me where he picks up on you know, some of the, I gotta fix I'm running out of juice. I hope he picks up some issues and still carries the flag for that. Let's see here. Okay, the order of vote totals almost mirror perfectly order names on the ballot. Oh, it's interesting. The vote totals order the names on the ballot. So maybe, you know, look, the top vote got the top person on for city council. Who was that? That was Byron Glenn with 2,500, and he didn't even run a campaign. He decided to quit early on, and so I don't know. Maybe being at the top matters way more than I realized. So let's see, any other surprises? Oh, city school board. You know, I was for Kevin Fisher in that race. I really was. I like all the other people. I met them all. They're all really, really nice. And, you know, you find that most people running for office, they are nice. And they have lots of friends. And they're good people. And they're wanting to do what they feel is best for the community. And so I appreciate all these people running for it. The winners were Roseanne Barton, former teacher, Becky Goff, a Democrat, and Amanda Moore, another Democrat. And so, you know, I don't know about Roseanne Barton, but I would bet that she's Democrat leaning too. I don't know. And if she isn't, then I apologize for making that assumption. Probably shouldn't do that. But so you had that. The interesting thing about those is Amanda Moore, I heard, has children in private school, runs for, and I can't knock her for that, because I ran for a school board and had kids in private schools. And so, you know, but I am a proponent of school choice and allowing all people to have the chance to put their kids into the education they feel is best for their kids. She is not for school choice for everybody. She's only, like, so far, she's for school choice for herself. I invited her on the show. The great thing about Amanda is she's a Western grad, but she also went to some Ivy League school for her law degree. And so, anyway, I'd like to have her on so we could talk about school choice sometime. And, you know, I'm hoping that once we get past the election, we'll talk more issues. I've been on here for way too long. Let's keep running through here real quick. Dawn White beat up on Ernest Burgess. And, you know, from what I heard, talking to people that were closer to Ernest than I ever would be. I mean, I appreciate what he's done for the county. You know, the great thing about Ernest is that he is very, very generous. All the money he's earned as mayor, he has given back, I'm pretty sure, to United Way. He promised to do the same thing if he got the job up in Nashville. The only time Ernest has upset me is when he's allowed lots of tax raises to occur. And then also during the Robert Arnold fiasco, he really didn't bother with helping the people that went and paid to get Robert out of office earlier than what he did. And so those people saved the county, you know, thousands upon thousands of dollars, and they used their own money to do it. And then, you know, Ernest Burgess didn't help them at all. And so that's a little upsetting. But Dawn ran a really great race. The great thing about Dawn, her race, how she ran it, was she did it the old-fashioned way. She knocked on a lot of doors. She had a great team behind her that was all knocking on doors, and she didn't go dirty. She didn't say anything negative about Mr. Burgess. She just, you know, ran her race, stayed in her lane, and then won. And what's so great about that, in my opinion, is that makes it easier for the Republican Party to coalesce behind her afterwards. Sometimes people don't think about that when you get dirty, how that's going to affect your next race in the general in November. And I think that'll hurt Mike Sparks. If I'm Chris Mayer, the Democrat running against him, you gotta love that these two were battling against each other like they were. I think that it'll be it means a tougher race for Mike Sparks in November than he probably should have, because they got so heated between the two. Let's see here. Oh, and I really, look, speaking of Chris Mayer, he beat Richard Petty. That guy's like a race car driver, superstar, you know. Hey, Kevin, how you doing, man? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for saying nice job. Let's see. So Chris Mayer, the Democrat nominee for the state rep, House District 49, he beats Richard Petty, a race car driver. No, he's not really a race car driver. But if my name had been Richard Petty, you can guarantee that my signs would have been looking like Richard Petty's. I think he was 46 or something like that, a race car. My signs would have been his color. It would have been push Richard Petty. But anyway, that's just, maybe it's because I grew up loving NASCAR. Dawn has get out the vote down pat. No doubt, James, right? She runs a excellent campaign, and she's been involved where I didn't get a door knock. Yes, right? I mean, like, she knocks doors. And so 43. See, I knew it was 40 something. Thank you, Sean. Sean, thanks for running, man. I was disappointed to see that you didn't get in that top 3. I knew it would be tough, but who imagined that the turnout would be what it was? That brings me to the last thing I want to talk about. You know, because I'm not a candidate for any of these local offices, I was telling my wife that I'm just interested in pushing issues. Some of the issues that I was for in the past were, for instance, getting the election moved from when it used to be like in March or whenever up to August. It saves taxpayers money because we consolidate the election cost, and I felt like it would lead to higher voter turnout. And it has led to higher voter turnout. And so I'm not against higher voter turnout. I think it's great. I want more people voting. I think there's still a lot of people who didn't vote, and I'm hoping that they will in the future. If we could only get Game 997, I'll listen to it again. I appreciate that, Steve. I am not a radio host. I've got a lot of work to do, and but maybe someday. You never know. I mean, this hair could turn grayer, and then, you know, I'll be ready. So let's see. The other issues that I'm interested in. So we got the election moved. Now I think we need district representation, and here's why. Because it costs a lot of money to run a race properly, to win. In a city the size of Murfreesboro, it cost a lot of money. Ask Ronnie Martin. Take a look at his numbers. Look at the amount he raised to win that seat. He raised a bunch of money, and that's the cost of running a citywide campaign. That's why we need districts. If you really want people, hybrid is the best option because it's the option that you can get through. In my opinion, that's why hybrid is the best option. The only reason it's the best option is because you're never going to get the people elected to do that because they all live close to each other, and well, not as much as they used to, but still drawing those out. I think that people that say hybrid is the best option, I just think that's the easiest option. I would ask Grenier. Well, look, you're right. That's a good point, Chriswell. $180. Yeah. Well, all right. So. Okay, the other option is you could live here for a long, long time. You could have your husband be in charge of parks and rec, and he could pass away, and everybody make a lot of, because he was a great man. They all talked about him, and so then she takes over in seated his seat. And so, anyway, if you were to calculate the value of her name ID, I think that she in a sense spent more than $180. So, but it's a very good point. Very, very good point. Let's see. Anything else going on? Oh, the other issues that I care about going forward. One is the district representation, and I'll take hybrid. I'll take it. But I really do think that we need districts because we're just too large for people to run regular campaigns. And and I'd like to see more city council members as well, personally, because I think that we have more issues than what 5 people can handle. And so I'd like to double that to 10 or 9, so that way you can have an odd number or something like that. But I would like to see more in that area. It'll divide up the work. It'll make it easier on them, and so that I think that would be good. You need a last name. Yeah, I know. I'm going to spell my name Ancher instead of Fancher. Yeah, for Ryan. That's the other good tip, Steve. Good tip. And then my other issue that I really care about is getting libertarians on the ballot. And so that brings me to my campaign announcement. I am on the ballot for governor in the state of Tennessee as an independent. The reason I'm running as an independent is because in Tennessee, for me to run as a libertarian, it would take me 33,000 signatures and some to get on the ballot. And I don't think that's fair because it only takes 25 for a Republican to get on the ballot, 25 for a Democrat, 25 for an independent, and 33,000 for a libertarian. That is not fair. And so libertarians, we ran a bill a few years ago up in the House. I went to a lot of the meetings, the hearings that were on it. I was there, and if you have been following me for a while, I appreciate that you're sticking with me. Ridiculous. Yes, it is. It's crazy. People are like when I say 33,000, they assume that I'm saying 25,000 for these others. It's not. It's 25 period down here, 33,000 way up here. And so so I want to get that number lowered. And what the Libertarian Party is doing in November is we have people running for governor as a protest. And the reason we're running as a protest is because one of the arguments they made against having libertarians on the ballot was that we would cloud up the number one, we'd have an expense of having primaries. We said that we would just do caucuses because we believe caucuses are better, but nonetheless, that was one of the reasons. And the other reason they said that we would fill up the ballot, and muddle it up and things of that nature. Look, it's a power grab by the Republican Party, and they don't want to lose votes to libertarians. And so anyway, as a form of protest, we have people from all across the state who have put their name on the ballot for governor. I am on the ballot. I'm not asking for your vote, but I am asking that you will pay attention to this issue, and that I want to put pressure on our legislators, on our future governor, to make it way more fair for people to be able to run as a Libertarian or as a Green Party or as any other party you want to come together and form. I think you should be able to be on the ballot and be representing that party, because it's only fair. If the Republicans and Democrats are getting that, then everyone else should too. This is America, right? Aren't we? You know, we want freedom and equality and things of that nature, and it's not. There's not freedom and equality on the ballot as it currently stands. There are Democrat Libertarians too. Exactly, right? A lot of people, our country needs more than two parties. Go Gabe. Thank you, Gus. I appreciate it, man. So those are my issues that I'm going to push forward on. I also care about, in Tennessee, getting medical marijuana legalized. I've never done marijuana, never ever. Nobody ever believes me, but you can ask Gus. Gus will tell you that I never did it in college, and so nor have I done it since then. And so I'm waiting for it to be legal. I just am. And plus I just drank way too much liquor when I was younger that I didn't need to mess that up. So loser, exactly. I know, Chris. Well, I know everybody wants to bake me out. I get it. But so I think it's important that we bring it here. And so I'm hoping that that we can start changing the laws and things like that in Tennessee for people who need it for medical reasons. And I would be for, you know, legalizing it completely for recreational use as well. But I think that's a long time. That's like the hybrid choice for the city council. Medical marijuana is the first step. And a lot of people use the reason that we don't want to get medical marijuana because it is the first step and it makes a slippery slope and all that. And I get that. See, there you go. Gus says it's true. It's true. If I wanted to, I could have had plenty of times with it, but I just haven't had a chance. So I haven't taken the chance to do it. But I promise if they legalize it in Tennessee, I will try it. We'll do it live. You guys can watch. And so anyway, and I'll invite all my friends that have partaken to come, and they can you know, enjoy it. And it'll be a great big party. It'll be awesome. So so going forward, if you guys could talk to people about the Libertarian issue being on the ballot, let them know that we have a bunch of independents. When you guys, I don't believe you, Steve. No one believes me. I don't believe you either. And so if you could let people know about it, because in November, when you see the ballot, there's going to be the Republican nominee, there'll be the Democrat nominee, then there's going to be all these independents. And they are on there because their rights are being infringed, in my opinion. And so I just want you, we want people to know that this issue is out there. And my goal, personally, is if they don't change if the current, you know, the new governor and our elected representatives, if they don't change the ballot laws and make them more fair, I plan on recruiting more people to run for governor because I'm taking notes on how to do it, and I'm going to get it done. And I'm hoping we have 100 people run for governor in 4 years. I want to really, you want to muddle up the ballot, you just wait, right? And so it's just one of those things that it's unfortunate that we're having to do this, but I want to bring attention to it, and I'm hoping that you guys will help spread the word. So please, before you go, can you press like on here? Give me some thumbs up. If you can share this video, that'd be great. Anyway, I'm here Friday at 9, every Friday at 9, to talk about what's going on in politics. And also, there we go. Look at those likes. I love it. Love it. Makes me feel good. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting me. So many people last night said that they had seen the show before and that they liked it and things of that nature. And so I'm going to continue doing this. After we get past the election, we're going to talk issues. I'm going to bring people on and invite them to talk about real issues. We're going to talk about school choice with people who are on the school board, if I can drag them in here. And then we're also going to talk about medical marijuana, and we're going to, any issue that you guys think is important, I want to bring in. I want to get, if they're against it, I want them to at least express it to me, to you, so we can learn why they are against it. And maybe it'll change our mind, maybe it'll change my mind. But I want to do it without yelling, no fussing, no fighting or anything like that. I want to discuss issues and educate people on both sides of the issue so we can make choices. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Please like and share the video. And I love all you guys. Thank you.